So let me start today with this question. What's the one thing that we all have to do but hate to do? What's the one thing that we all share but never fully support? Let me give you an example. A couple of weeks ago on this show, I came out and fully supported the White Sox hiring of Tony La Russa. Many of you know by now. I think it went viral on Twitter. People saying I was an idiot. People saying I didn't know what I was getting into. Sure enough, the next day, it comes out that La Russa had a DUI back in February. The White Sox knew about it. No one else did. And they still hired him. Well, that changed my stance a bit. The next day, I came on this show, as many of you remember, and I said I was wrong. I should not have supported Tony La Russa. I made a mistake. That was pretty hard for me. For a guy who's in sports media, for someone who comes to you each and every day to give you some hot takes and give you some information, it's not fun to come out and retract what you just said, but I had to do it. Many other people had to do it too. It may not have been easy, but I respect you. I respect this show. I respect myself. I want to be transparent. I want you to respect what I do. That's why I came out and said I was wrong. See, for some people, that's pretty hard to do. Some people never do it. Or in some cases, like Matt Nagy's, you're forced to do it even if you really don't want to. If Nick Foles was 100% healthy, how much do you want to bet he'd be starting this weekend? How much do you want to bet there'd be no talk of putting Mitch back in, even though people like me have been saying it for weeks? How much do you want to bet that Mitch never would have appeared in another game with the Bears? Matt Nagy never wanted to admit he was wrong. We all know that. There's a new report out, by the way, from the Athletic's Adam Johns, that Nagy's actually used Trubisky as a scapegoat. Quote, there is a scapegoat feel to the Bears' benching of Trubisky by certain league circles. Evaluations of Trubisky always were mixed and will continue to be so, but he had won the Bears' first 2 games in the season, including a dramatic comeback win in Detroit, and he wasn't injured. What have I been saying for the past, 2 months now? Who benches a quarterback when the team is 2-0? That's unheard of. Who benches a guy who's down by 16 in the third quarter against Atlanta? What kind of logic is there? This report, I do believe. And this explains a lot about why the Bears have been the way they were for the past couple of years. Because think about this for a second. Think about Mitch Trubisky's career in the NFL with the Bears. First year, John Fox, not good. Horrible coach. The team was still trying to rebuild, and he didn't have a good year. First year under Matt Nagy, winning season, 12-4, win the division. Should have made it to the Super Bowl if it wasn't for Cody Parkey. And Mitch had a 95 passer rating. Last year, 8-8. Bit of a regression. But the Bears were still 500. And this year, they were undefeated. And they said, Mitch, we've seen enough. You're done. Tell me how that makes any sense. The guy had not lost a game yet. What more could he have done for this team to save his job? I mean, that's a serious question. What more could he have done? What, did he have to throw for 400 yards a game? Did he have to score 4 touchdowns a game? I don't know. For some reason, and this report might help us with that. Matt Nagy never really clicked with Mitch Trubisky. My thought is that before Nagy was hired, he wanted his own quarterback. He didn't want some inherited project that the Bears drafted a year ago. He wanted his own guy to groom and to mold into his offensive scheme. It didn't work. Nagy wants a pocket passer. Mitch can move. Nagy wants a guy who could stay in the pocket, assuming there's a great offensive line, and sling the ball downfield. He doesn't want somebody who can move, who could run, throw the ball short, throw it long if necessary. He didn't want that. So what he's done is he hasn't conformed to his quarterback's strengths. He's been stubborn. He's asked Mitch to change his own mindset to conform to him, and it hasn't worked. You know, it's so funny. The last time I checked, this was a quarterback-driven league. In Baltimore, the Ravens molded themselves around Lamar Jackson. John Harbaugh didn't say, "You're a running quarterback. That doesn't work. Conform to me." In Arizona, Cliff Kingsbury, he didn't come in and tell Kyler, "I don't want you running. Follow my lead. If you don't like it, too bad. You're done." That doesn't happen anymore. That is old timing. That's 80s, 90s, 2000s football. This is 2020. You need a quarterback. And if your franchise invests significant draft capital, then as a coach, you should realize, I probably want to make sure this guy works out. Not, I'm going to butt heads with him and try to make him play my way. That's what Matt Nagy's done. That's what the Bears have done. That's why I believe he was so quick to bring in Nick Foles. And how'd that experiment work out? You know, it still amazes me to this day that he had so much support. It really does. For some reason, people thought he'd be the savior for the team. People believed we're getting 2017 Nick Foles, not 2019 with Jacksonville. They thought they were getting the Super Bowl MVP, and what they've gotten is a super dud. That's what the Bears have in Nick Foles. 10 touchdowns, 8 picks. 2-5 record. He's a 500 career quarterback. Nick Foles, for his career, is one game above 500. Mitch, on the other hand, is 26-18. 3-0 this year. Not good enough. He doesn't have a Super Bowl. True. Nick Foles played well for 6 games in his career, so I guess that means that he deserves to start for the rest of his life. That move to this day doesn't make any sense. But I guarantee you, we all know who Matt Nagy is. Had he not been hurt, Mitch would have never seen the field again, no matter how loud people got about bringing back in Mitch. It never would have happened. Mitch doesn't fit in. He's a bust. Doesn't conform to Nagy's offense. It's his fault. Don't scapegoat a top-picked quarterback. It does not fall all on Mitch. And you know what proves that? What proves that is this team this year. When Nick Foles has played, has anyone directly blamed Nick Foles? No. Offensive line, no weapons. Matt Nagy, Ryan Pace. I saw so many people over the past couple of weeks saying it all starts at the top. It all starts at the top. That's true. But Nick Foles, statistically, has done nothing for this team. Does that mean that it's Ryan Pace's fault? Matt Nagy's fault? Part of the blame does fall on him. We didn't hear that, though, did we? We heard it's a bunch of other people. It's not his fault. People are standing up for a washed-up stopgap quarterback, and to me, it's mind-boggling. Why are people hitching their wagon to some washed-up QB? to a guy who has, yes, a Super Bowl MVP, who, yes, had a lucky 6-game run, but that's it. Why are we not supporting the youngster who has more potential and who has much more upside? I've said that from day one. I've said that from the very beginning. Look, I never always liked Trubisky, and I'm sure we could all agree that if the Bears had a do-over of that draft, they wouldn't pick him. Right? We all know that. He was not the best quarterback there. It was a waste of a pick. It shouldn't have been done, but it was. So the Bears were stuck with him. What would you do in that situation? Would you sit there and be stubborn, not conform, make everything more difficult for him? Or would you say, you know what? Let's see what we can do. Let's see what he brings to the table. Maybe we could groom him to be an okay quarterback. But no. That would be sensical. The Bears invested a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of capital into Mitch Trubisky, but they chose the other route. Let's be stubborn. Let's make things more difficult. And now, let's make him a scapegoat. When the team doesn't perform, we'll blame it on him. It's his fault. If we had a different quarterback, it wouldn't be this way. The Bears go out, they get a different quarterback, a Super Bowl MVP, and they're worse off. This all goes back to my original point. Tell the truth. Be honest. Admit when you're wrong. It's time for Matt Nagy to do that. He'll never fully say it, but this move somewhat proves he has. If it were up to him, Mitch would never see the field again. Ever. The Bears would cut him after the season. He'd be let loose, and I guarantee you, a lot of teams would be interested. But that's not going to happen now. Now, Mitch has a chance to prove himself. Mitch has a chance to show everybody he was wrongly benched and that he could lead this team to a playoff appearance. And I'll tell you this much. If Mitch somehow does it, if the Bears go from 5-5 to 10-6, if they get in via the wild card, that should prove that the Bears deserve at least one more full year of him without people from behind getting in his way. If that means firing Matt Nagy and bringing in a coach who's willing to work with him, so be it. You've invested time, money, and capital. It's like a real investment. If I go into the stock market and put in some money to something, what do? Do I sit there and not monitor it and just let it go? Or do I make sure each and every day I'm on it? I'm reading news about it. I'm caring for it. I'm nurturing it so I can make my money back. I never understood why the Bears didn't have that philosophy with Mitch. You made an investment. It might have been a bad investment at the start, but who's to say it would never go from the red to the green? We didn't know that. It could have, but you chose to sell too early and get out and cut your losses. You shouldn't have done that. You should have given Mitch time to prove himself. Now he has another chance. Albeit it's a tough situation. Green Bay, they're really throwing him into the fire. But the Bears don't necessarily need to win to prove my point, to prove anyone's point about supporting Mitch. As long as he has a good enough game, as long as he can show, hey, I am an NFL quarterback, I never should have been benched, and I can play better than that stopgap quarterback, he'll be fine. 2 touchdowns, no picks, 200 yards, I'll take that all day long. And if the Bears win, so be it. If they lose and he does well, not all his fault. See, I'm very curious to see what people say if the Bears lose. On Monday and Tuesday. For the past couple of weeks, we've sat here and blamed everybody but Nick Foles, right? It's the wide receiving core. No run game. Bad O-line. Matt Nagy. Ryan Pace. Ted Phillips. Some people have said. What will people say on Monday if the Bears lose? Will they continue with that narrative? Hey, it's everyone around him. It's not his fault. Or will they go after Mitch right away and say he should have never come back in? Bench him now. Cut him as a Chicago Bear. I have an idea of what people are going to say come Monday if the Bears lose. I know what it's going to be. Do you? No one, I guarantee it, will come out and support Mitch. No one will use the excuses that they did for Nick Foles. For some reason, people respect Foles more for winning one Super Bowl 3 years ago. They respect him more than the team's own draft pick that they attempted to home grow. What does that tell you? What does that tell you about loyalty and about team pride and about investments? Mitch has been unfairly treated from the beginning. We know that. He may not have been Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes, and for the rest of his career, he'll be compared to those two guys, and it's a shame. That doesn't mean, though, that you have to sit here and belittle him every chance you get. And that's what's going to happen on Monday if they lose. Mitch deserves this opportunity. Mitch should have never been benched. And for those who say he should have, he wasn't doing good enough, the Bears were winning ugly, let me ask you this. Would you rather see them win ugly and still be undefeated, or have them continue to lose ugly and have people wonder what's next for this team? See, it may not have looked pretty, but with Mitch, they won. The guy gets benched because Matt Nagy believes they could still win without him. They'll be a better team without Mitch, despite the fact that they were already undefeated. That was the logic behind it, and it turns out they've been worse. You could attribute that to the teams they faced, but Mitch is not a bad quarterback, and we already saw him make a comeback win on opening day. Who's to say he couldn't do it again against Atlanta, against any other team the Bears have faced? That logic from the beginning was flawed. Who benches an undefeated quarterback? But the Bears did. They thought they can get even better without Mitch, and in fact, they've gotten worse. And you could sit here and blame the O-line, the wide receivers, the coach, the GM, the team president. You could do that all day. But we all know that the quarterback has a role to play. Nick Foles has not played his role well at all. Why did no one say that? Why were people scared to bring that up? Every week, people blamed everything but Nick Foles. But yet now, if Trubisky loses, they're going to blame everybody, including Trubisky. Trubisky will be the scapegoat again. So before you react and get all worked up if the Bears lose, before you get too excited for the Trubisky win, remember, the move should have never been made, and Mitch just deserves a fair shot. Just because I like Mitch doesn't mean I'm going to be biased about it. If he has 4 picks, if he has a 50 completion percentage, if he deserves to be pulled, I'll let you know. We'll all know it. But there's no reason why he doesn't deserve one more chance with this team. They've invested so much time with Mitch. They drafted him. Top 5 pick. It's not right to give up on him that easily. Thank you again for listening to this special edition of Sports Talk Chicago. Remember, make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Jon Z Sports and on Facebook at Jon Zaghloul. And also, if you want to make some money this weekend, $250 free for you at sportstalkchicago.com/cash. That's sportstalkchicago.com/cash. Go to the link, sign up, $250 free to bet on any game you want. Bears, Packers, Sunday Night Football. Ravens, Steelers, that's been moved to Tuesday. Do what you want, bet some good money, all courtesy of us here at Sports Talk Chicago. That's sportstalkchicago.com/cash, sportstalkchicago.com/cash. Thank you for listening. Remember, listen to us every day from 2 to 3 p.m. on AM 1530 WCKG, or listen to us anytime you want in podcast form on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. Thank you.